Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the D Will Show. I am your host, D Will, and this is episode 131. Be sure to go follow me on Instagram at D Willow at DWILLOOO. Go follow me over there to see any upcoming episodes that I may have coming. I have a bunch of episodes coming your way. I got some good ones in the bag for y'all, so make sure you go follow me to keep up with all those. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the D Will Show. Go follow all of my previous episodes. I have 131 episodes for you guys to tap in with. So make sure you go follow me over there. Also to go like and 5-star wherever you get your podcast, the D Will Show. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google. Make sure to go like, make sure to go 5-star. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, 27 Horizon. Connecting your business to new horizons. Contact 27 Horizon for all of your creative design needs and book them today to make your event one to remember when you DJ or photo services. DM 27 Horizon for more info. To get to the good part, I got a good one for y'all. I got an Aurora Christian legend, a former North Park University star who is a second team all conference. He's actually top 10 in threes made at North Park University. Y'all help me welcome Jason Collins to the show. Jay, what's up, Brody?
Hey man, I appreciate you having me. It's an absolute honor. It's an
No,
absolute honor, man.
for
Appreciate the time.
sure. For sure. We had a family affair. I just had your brother on not too long ago.
Yep.
Cuz told me to tap in with you. So I'm like, okay, we gotta get the family in here, give y'all flowers, man. Y'all come from a great family of hoopers, man. So I had to get you on here.
Thank you.
For sure. To jump right into it, man. Kind of just take us through your upbringing, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. So born and raised in Aurora. I'm out in the Memphis area right now, but I mean I spent 35, 36 years of my life right in Aurora, Illinois, where I was born and raised. Went to Aurora Christian. Obviously, as you said, went to North Park University after Aurora Christian. Spent a couple years at St. Joe's too, middle school in Aurora. But yeah. I mean, born and raised in Aurora. Had a very unique, kind of upbringing in the way that, I went to Aurora Christian. That's where I played my ball at. But like my entire family pretty much is East Aurora Tomcats. My mom,
Yeah.
my dad, their sisters and brothers, my cousins, everybody's an East Aurora Tomcat. I mean, me and my sister are pretty much the only ones that didn't go to East.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird in the way where, my loyalties almost rested with two schools, for the majority of my upbringing. I went to Aurora, like I said, I went to Aurora Christian, but my grandfather had season tickets, you know what I'm saying? I was at Tomcat Lane every home game,
Yeah.
since I can remember as a young boy. And yeah, so it was just weird because most kids, your loyalties usually lie with one set. If you grew up on the west side, you're a Blackhawk. East side, you're a Tomcat. Aurora Central, you with them. Aurora Christian, you with them. But I was going to Aurora Christian, but I know just as much about the history of East Aurora basketball as I do about Aurora Christian basketball, because I probably, as a youngster, probably watched more East Aurora games than I did Aurora Christian games. I didn't even really start. I mean, I don't want to say paying attention, but really, really getting into Aurora Christian hoops and stuff like that till I was around, almost to high school.
Yeah.
When I was a child, going from the age of like 9, 10, when I actually knew what I was watching, all the way till about high school. I mean, I was at Tomcat Lane
Yeah.
every home game, man.
Yeah.
Sitting right next to my grandfather who had season tickets for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So just a very, I wouldn't trade it for the world though. I enjoyed my time as a youngster and coming up in Aurora, playing ball in Aurora. Just a great basketball town.
Now, Jay, I know you said you grew up around Tomcat basketball. What led to the choice of going to Aurora Christian? Because that's kind of what I did. I came from Oak Park, and then I went to East Aurora because that's where all my family went. I kind of want to keep that going in the family. But what led to the choice of going to Aurora Christian?
I think it was just more about my parents wanting me to have the benefits of that that private school education. And, God bless them. Obviously private school education comes with a price tag, and the good Lord blessed them with the means to put me in that school. I mean, I'm sure there's quite a few kids whose parents wanted to put them, into that type of an institution. But man, Aurora Christian, very, very expensive, very, very expensive high school.
Yeah.
Not even high, I mean, very, 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 very expensive school down to the preschool, so that was, I'm assuming was, I never really asked my dad, why he made that decision, with everybody in our family basically being Tomcats, why the decision was made to go the private school route with me. But I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Jay, when you were coming up, as kids, we played everything in the neighborhood. We just wanted to be outside, just being active. Did you play any other sports before you made the choice to become a baller? Or
actually, yeah, my dad introduced me to soccer before basketball. I mean, he introduced me to both, but he put me in soccer with the Park District when I was 6 years old. I started playing soccer at an organized level at the age of 6, and I was actually a very, very good soccer player. I played from the time I was 6 years old all the way up through my freshman year of high school. I actually was playing varsity as a freshman. So I was pretty good soccer player actually. But after my freshman year, I decided to give that up and just focus on hoops, because that's really, really where my passion lies.
Okay. Now, I know you said you were playing soccer, but were you still hooping on the side for fun, or were you just strictly just playing soccer at that time?
I was doing both.
Okay.
I was doing both. That was just what I was introduced to first, was soccer.
Okay.
But, from I started, it wasn't long after that he put that orange ball in my hand, and it was love at first sight, man.
Yeah. Okay. But what led to the choice of really putting down soccer and picking up the ball? You know what I mean? I know you came from a basketball family, but what was that moment for you where it really clicked, when you was like, okay, I'm gonna become a hooper. That's what I want to do now.
Yeah, I just felt like I just wanted to really, really, really dive into basketball head first.
Okay.
Around 7th, 8th grade, where I started realizing, I'm pretty good. Like, I might be able to do something with this. I might be able to, get into high school, make a name for myself, get a basketball scholarship, and who knows where it goes from there. So I didn't want to really. It was at that point I decided I didn't want to split time between both sports. I didn't think that I would be able to go as far with soccer as I could with basketball. I thought my skill level with basketball was better. So yeah, I decided to move on from soccer, focus 100% on basketball, and just really just give it my all.
Okay. Now, was the household competitive? Sometimes you coming behind a basketball family, you have those moments with your siblings or your older siblings or your parents. Like, was it always a competitive household for you?
I would say not really. There's a pretty significant age gap between, because I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest, and my sister's 2 years younger than me. So I mean, me and her really couldn't go at it, playing basketball. And my brother's 8 years younger than me, so there was a pretty significant age gap there between me and him. But we would still mess around. Still play with each other. We spent a lot of time together. Me and Sean are extremely close. But no, just to answer your question, though, it wasn't really super competitive in the household in that way. With, like I said, the closest in age from a sibling standpoint was my sister, and I mean, we're not gonna be out in the driveway banging. So it was just the way the family was set up. It was that opportunity really never presented itself. But my brother definitely he would have definitely accepted the challenge.
You see what he put, right?
See, on cue, See, he wasn't gonna back down, so he was gonna go out there and go after me if it came down to it.
Okay. But when you really started to take it serious, Jay, that you wanted to hoop, rather it been like NBA players or just people in your family, who were you really trying to lock in with and really learn from and take some game from, to make yourself better when you made that choice to become a hooper?
Yeah, it wasn't really anyone in my family. My dad didn't play, at high school or nothing like that. My grandfather, he could ball. He was a solid player. He played at Bluefield State, out in West Virginia. But obviously I never got to see that.
Yeah.
So if I had to say a player, I'd say Scottie Pippen was definitely
Okay.
he was my favorite player. He was my absolute favorite player. I loved watching Scottie do his thing. And I did kind of pattern my game after him a little bit. I always tried to be a kind of a do-it-all type player with really no holes in my game. Just pretty much like he was.
Okay. What in particular did you take from Scotty? Was it just his footwork? Just how did he approach the game? What was the particular things that you wanted to take from him?
I would say all of that.
Okay.
One thing with Scotty, it was like I was saying, is he was what I would describe as just a complete basketball player.
Okay.
It's almost like if you're building a basketball player in a lab, this is what you're going to make. You're going to make somebody that can handle the ball, that can pass the ball, that can rebound the ball, that can score the ball, that can defend the ball. And it's like he did all that, and he did it all at a high level.
Facts.
So I
Facts.
feel like, if you're going to pattern your game after somebody, why not pattern it after a guy that literally has no weaknesses in his game?
No, that's facts.
So that was kind of my logic behind that.
Okay.
And everybody liked Jordan. Obviously, Jordan, he's my GOAT.
Okay.
But just in terms of my favorite player to watch, it was definitely Scottie Pippen.
Okay. Okay. So you said you grew up in a soccer guy. You said around your freshman year, you kind of really put it down. Did you ever have an AAU circuit? Did you ever get to play AAU? And if you did, how was that whole experience for you?
I didn't get
Okay.
into the AAU circuit at all.
Okay. Okay.
It was around my time. It was kind of just getting on the scene. And to be quite frank with you, it was almost kind of looked down on. At that time, it was kind of the new thing, the new hip thing all the kids were doing, and a lot of our coaches, at the schools were, like, man, what's this AAU stuff? It's taking my guy's attention away from us, and he's doing this on the side in the summer when he should be working out with us. It was an odd time. It was more time when AAU was getting introduced. And I didn't do it. I didn't know a whole lot about it. It was kind of fresh coming on the scene. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I never played on any AAU teams, and I played a ton of ball in the summer.
Yeah.
But it was just more like going to basketball camps, different clinics.
Okay.
I'd always played a ton of Gus Macker tournaments on the weekends. Like that was a huge thing back then. I don't know how big that still is now, but yeah, I spent most of my summer just playing in, tournaments like that. Playing at the playground. Like we just live on the playground, man. Like
yeah,
wasn't all this stuff they got now. It wasn't as prevalent back then. You take the ball, you go to May Street, you get it in till the lights came on, man.
Yeah. Okay. The high school experience, freshman year, you had a great school. Did you picture yourself trying to play high school ball all 4 years? And if you did, how was the whole experience for you just playing high school ball when you really made the choice that that's what you wanted to do?
Oh man, high school basketball was just a great experience. Playing basketball at Aurora Christian, and being coached by Don Davidson, who's Hall of Famer, like a true legend. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, being a Aurora Christian Eagle. And you're a younger guy, so you may not know this, but Aurora Christian, man, like 85, 86 to about 95, 96. That decade, you could put them Aurora Christian teams on the court with anybody. I don't care what class. And back then we didn't have all these classes either. It was single A, it was double A.
Wow.
So It wasn't all this 4A stuff where you playing against schools of the same level, the same skill set, of the same size, and all this stuff. It was like you might mess around, Aurora Christian, my graduating class, like 65 people, mess around, play a school that's got 3,000 kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to bring it. It don't matter. Like, so it was. I wouldn't change anything in terms of the way things were when I was in high school playing. I loved playing at Aurora Christian. Loved playing for Don Davidson. His son Matt Davidson coached me as a sophomore. Mark Davidson, who's Don's son.
Okay.
He's the face of Aurora Christian basketball. He is to Aurora Christian what Jay Taylor is to East Aurora, what Kenny Battle is to West Aurora. Mark Davis is that for Aurora Christian. And, he was a phenomenal basketball player, one of the best basketball players to come out of Aurora. I don't care what class you talking. I don't care about any of that. And, a lot of people may not think that, but if you were to tap in with the Tyrone Savages of the world, the Mike Simmons of the world, the Thomas Wyatt's of the world that had to be on the court with that guy, they'll validate that.
Yeah. A hooper will give you credit if you can hoop. They gonna let you know. You know what I mean? No matter where you at.
That's what I'm saying. Go to the source. Go to the sources.
Fact. Do you have a favorite moment? You know what I mean? Because we always have the highs and lows with everything we do in life. You know what I mean? What were some of the high moments you had in high school? And what were some of the low moments that you kind of went through?
So in high school, I would definitely say, actually both of these are very easy. Two moments pop right in my head. If we're talking strictly high school, I'll start with the high. Okay. The high would have definitely been my junior year. We were playing in the Oswego shootout against Shelbyville, and Shelbyville, they were a powerhouse. They had won state the year before. Had a D1 prospect named Keith Byers. He ended up committing to U of I. Absolute animal. He put up 30 and I don't know what on us that day. But I actually we showed up and showed out, man. We ended up beating them, and I actually hit a game winner. I hit the game winner.
Okay. Okay.
It was wild, man. It was absolutely wild because they were tough. That team was tough. We wasn't even. We had a good team, but they won state the year before. They were ranked when we played them. They got a D1 commit. It wasn't expected to be really a game.
Yeah, they had y'all as an underdog. They
definitely had us at an underdog, but Mark Allen, rest in peace. He was our center. He was matched up with Byers, their big time prospect. He gave him hell, man. Byers put up huge numbers that night, but Mark had a great game. He probably had 20 himself.
Yeah.
So he kind of helped. He kind of helped equal that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna if a dude gonna drop 30 on you, you're gonna have to put some work in too.
Yeah.
That out. And they had some good guards too, but and me and my boy Charles Foster and Jabari Harrow, we really stepped up, kind of contained them guards.
Okay.
And we had the ball. We had the ball at the end.
Yeah.
The play was actually drawn up for me to get the ball to Mark.
Okay.
And he was having a night. He was having a night, but I couldn't get it to him. The clock was running down, man, and I did my thing and knocked it down. We beat him.
Okay. How did the play break down? Break down the play for us. Like, what was the play that y'all wrote down, and what did you see on the court when it happened? You was like, that ain't gonna work. I gotta do my own thing now.
So it's a little hazy, obviously, because it's been a while. But
okay.
I know. I got the ball on the left wing, elbow extended at the 3-point line, and basically we did just a little flex cross screen from the box to box under the rim to try to get Mark a layup. Okay. They switched the pick. And the guy stayed top side on Mark, so I couldn't get him the ball, and I wasn't going to throw no lob. Time's running down. So I was just like, and Mark cleared. He ran off the block. So it wasn't nothing between me and the rim, but the man guarding me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you all I got to deal with, it's over with.
I was like, my chances. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
gave him a quick, jabbed him right, went left, pulled up about 10, 11 feet, bottoms, game over.
Game winner. I see Sean said he stormed the court. Just that whole moment for you just felt like it didn't even seem real to you, huh, bro?
No, man, that was crazy, man. That was crazy. That was a great game. It was one of the greatest games I've ever played in.
Okay.
The greatest game I've ever played in is my low moment, though.
Okay. Talk to me.
So we actually had an 80-game home winning streak at Aurora Christian. 80 games.
That's tough.
In my junior year, we actually lost it. Man, just a crazy atmosphere, man. Crazy atmosphere. If you wasn't there for the freshman game, you weren't getting in. Because everybody knew something had to give, because we were playing Lyle, who was ranked in the state, hadn't lost a game. They came in 21-0. And we was actually ranked in the state too.
Okay.
So everybody came out. People was coming out from all over to see that game. In that little ass court on 801 Illinois. So yeah, it was just, the atmosphere was electric. Lyle, that's who we ended up losing the streak to. And it was a tight game. We lost by 1 point, man. 1 point. We was up to no. We were up 1.
Mm-hmm.
They had the ball. We were on defense. All we gotta do is get the stop. And their star guy. I mean, they put the ball in the hands of their dude. His last name was Glover. I forget his first name, but he went to the basket. He wasn't shooting. He was a smart basketball player. We down. He was in his mind. I'm sure he's like, we down 1. I'm not shooting no jumpers. I'm about to go to the basket and make
Try to get fouled.
This layup, or they're gonna foul me, one or the other, and I'm gonna knock both of these free throws down. That's exactly what happened. He put his head down. I thought it was actually a bad call. It was actually one of those scenarios where usually if it's 50-50, a ref won't make that call at that moment. You'll usually swallow their whistle. It was one of them scenarios where usually they'll swallow their whistle, especially in this situation.
Atmosphere.
You got the atmosphere. We ain't lost here 80 games, and you call this foul, put this dude on the line, he knocks them both down. Game over, man. Streak over.
So that was one of the low moments, just losing that streak.
Lowest.
Man. After that, what was the mental for you? Did you feel extra pressure? Like, man, we blew it. Like, my team was the one that blew it. And how did you look forward, going forward? How did your mindset going forward?
I absolutely felt that way, man. I was devastated. I just when that triple zeros went up there, I just collapsed on the court and just laid there for a little bit, man. Like, I didn't even want to go to the locker room. Like, that was crazy. And I absolutely felt like 80 games, man. And you remember me telling you how strong that program was from 85 to 95. Like, them teams was the ones putting that streak together.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, here we go, unlost this. And that was a tough blow. Especially because of the way it happened, questionable call, everything. Like, I would have rather got blown out.
Yeah.
Than to lose the way we lost that game.
Yeah, because you could just take it like they're a better team, but to come down to one call.
Yeah, exactly. And but hey, one thing I've always been the type of person that just could really, really persevere. Leave the past in the past, eyes forward. You can't, man, this is not just with basketball, this is with life. I mean, you can't move forward if you're stuck in the past, So it was real hard, bro. It was real hard to move on from that. I mean, that stuck with me a long, long time, man.
How long did it take you, if you know?
Man.
I know it came with you through the rest of the season. I know that, but like,
it didn't carry with me the rest of the season because obviously we had more games we had to focus on. But I would say, like, I was in a little bit of a lull probably until our next game.
Okay.
I mean, even going to
Okay.
practice the next day, I was still thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, really, probably I would say until the next game we played, that's probably all I was thinking about, and then it was hard to really just get it off my mind.
Yeah. Those one of the ones where you gotta forget, you gotta move on, but you don't forget. Like that'll always, stick with
Yes,
you.
yeah,
Got you.
yeah.
Okay. Um, so I heard, you came from your father was a military guy, growing up for you. What type of like toughness, did your father instill, in you guys, in your household?
Yeah, yeah. My dad was a military in the army. And my dad, that's a great dude right there, man. I don't even know where to start with just the influence he's had on my life.
Yeah.
He wasn't real. I wouldn't say he was tough.
Hmm.
Tough. Just a wise dude. He was just always teaching, always showing, always just trying to prepare us for life and what it's and for what things you may encounter and how to handle it. I learned so much just from being around him and just seeing just how he went about his business, how he interacted with people.
Yeah.
They call him the mayor of Aurora. That's a reason for that. Everybody knows my dad. Everybody loves my dad. Um, but just a great guy that I just, like I said, just being around him, I just picked up so much stuff. Just like I said, just on how to politic, how to network,
Yeah.
just always be top of mind, you
Yeah.
know, put
Yeah.
yourself out there,
Yeah.
introduce yourself to people. It's just he's the first person that I really saw where they were exercising. People talk about it's about people always have that phrase that it's about not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
My dad was the epitome of that. Anything you need, my dad's got a guy.
Yeah.
Anything you need, my dad has got a guy, and that's just from putting himself out there, networking, getting to know people, and yeah, just being a light. Like the
Yeah.
dude, just everywhere we went, he would see somebody he knew. You know what I'm saying? We could be in
Yeah.
another state, he running into somebody he knew. It was just like,
Yeah.
man, this guy.
Yeah. Good
So
people.
yeah, he was just like I said, he wasn't like a tough, like boom, pounding fist, pounding the table, just tough like that, tough as nails type stuff like that. Um, but no, he had a unique style, but I loved it, like
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Okay. Okay. For you, Jay, how was the recruiting process for you? Was it one of those ones, you had a bunch of schools reaching out to you, and what led to the choice of you going to North Park?
So yeah, I had a lot of schools reaching out, tons and tons of letters. Um, but honestly, the recruiting thing for me. So like I said, I was the oldest. So
Okay.
this was the first time we had ever dealt with anything like this. In my household. In terms of what do you do? How do you attack this? How do we reach out to the coaches and get them to come out to the games and see you and get the highlight tapes going and all this and all that. Like that was the first time, we had ever dealt with anything like that. And, my dad was, doing the best he could with it. It was his first experience with obviously having, a child that was actually good enough at sports where, this was even a question, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
Yeah.
but he did all he could, man. He did all he could, um, got the highlight tapes put together for me, was reaching out to coaches here and there for me, trying to put me on the map, connecting with people, networking with people. It was a cool experience, man. I had a lot of interest, a lot of letters, a lot of calls. I probably say the most exciting moment in my recruiting experience was when they came from school, man, had a voicemail from Bobby Collins, coach of UIC. And that's when I was like, man, like, okay, like that's what I'm waiting on, man. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of calls and stuff I was getting was from junior colleges, D2s, D3s, which is fine. That's cool. That's why I
Hmm.
ended up playing.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the goal. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the goal. The goal was to go big time, you know, and when you're young, you don't understand. You don't. Sometimes you don't get the whole. There's this thing that D1 is like. That's where you got to go. That's where you got to go to be considered a good basketball player. So when we're kids, don't know any better. That's all we care about. That's all we think about. A junior college calls me or a D3 calls me. Obviously I'll take the call, but it's like I'm not even gonna be playing for you. But I'll talk to you. But I got bigger aspirations. But
facts.
it was a cool, great experience. But it was to be honest, the recruiting experience, in terms of with me being at Aurora Christian, it was about the only thing with Aurora Christian that was probably a little bit of a sore spot, for me and my family, because we weren't, with a lot of kids when they're in school, you're doing your thing too, and the school, is getting out there for you too, and trying to get you connected, with camps, clinics, coaches, getting them out to see your games and stuff like that. And we weren't sure all that stuff was happening. Thanks for correcting me. The guy's name is Jimmy Collins, not Bobby Collins. Okay. But so we did sometimes feel like we were on a little bit of an island, kind of doing it all on our own. And there's every now and then we look back on it like, what if we had a little bit more support, on that front. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah. When you came to the point where you had to make your choice on where you were going, what were the main factors in the school that you were looking for? But like, okay, this is where I want to go. Like, what were you looking for in those programs, when they reached out to you?
So, man, I'll be honest with you, man. I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know, man.
You just wanted the ball.
I just wanted to play ball. That's it. That's all. I had a one-track mind. Well, I tell you, I'll tell you what I didn't know. I knew I wanted to go D1.
Yeah.
That's about all I knew. I wanted to play D1 basketball. That's all I know.
Yeah.
It probably didn't matter where it was.
Yeah. But what led to the UIC situation? Did it just not pan out, or did it just not, did they stop recruiting you? Did you not go on a visit? Like, how did that work out? Because like you said, you had your hopes up when they reached out to you. What led to that not being pursued?
Yeah, good question, man. So I did actually go on a visit. I went on a visit.
Okay.
But they ended up wanting me to redshirt.
Okay.
They wanted me to redshirt, sit out a year, because I was skinny, man. I was real slight, man. I was probably 165 dripping wet coming out of high school. So I was, they wanted to get some weight. They wanted me to sit out a year, get some weight up. And they also had some decent guards, upperclassmen.
Okay.
They're like, why waste a year playing behind these guys? You're not going to play anyway.
You just waste the year. Okay.
You waste the year. And, hindsight, looking back, probably would have been the right thing to do. But I'm 17 years old, man. Like, I'm not trying to hear I got to sit out a year and not play and, all this stuff. I'm trying to get it in. Like, I'm as good as these dudes. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Probably an immature decision. But nonetheless, it's the one I made, and it came down between North Park and Carthage University out in Kenosha.
Okay.
It came down to it was a pretty interesting little bidding war between those two schools, man. They were both after me pretty hard. And obviously North Park's Division III NCAA, so they can't give me a athletic scholarship. But they have their ways, what they have to do to get the players they want. Yeah. And so once it came down to those two schools, I mean, I'm on the phone with North Park one night, what y'all offering, and I'm running back to Carthage with, hey, this is what they do, what y'all got, and it went back and forth like that for a few phone calls before I ultimately decided. I ultimately decided to go to North Park because it was like, if I'm gonna go D3 anyway, and they were both in the same conference, I'm like, I might as well be a little closer to home, be in the city, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to being out in the sticks in Kenosha with nothing to do.
Yeah.
That was kind of what it came down to between those two schools. That's what it came down to for me. It was being a little closer to home in case on the weekend, I decided I just want to hop on the train and come to the crib. I
All
could
right,
do
back
it.
on. Yeah.
I mean, we all know what comes with being in the city. I mean,
Yeah. Facts. Facts. Okay. How did you adjust to the whole, going to college process? You know what I mean? Because you played middle school ball, then you had to adjust going to the high school level. Then high school level, you going to the college level. How tough was your transition, making it to the college level? Like I said, you got to do training's different, the style of play is different, how fast the game is. Like, did you have to adjust to that? And if you did, how long did it take you to, get activated to the college
that's
ball?
yeah, man. That's a great question, and boy, that's a big leap. From high school to college is a huge leap. I don't care if you D3, D2, D1, junior college.
Mm-hmm.
Every dude on that team was the best player at his high school.
Talk, bro.
That's the end and short of it. Every guy on your team, no matter if you at JUCO through D3, D2, D1, was that dude on his high school team. So you're talking the best of the best.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like it was real. It was real.
Yeah.
I'm used to being, at Aurora Christian, just doing what I want when I want on the basketball court. I get up here, and then I'm young too. I'm one of those kids who's, because of his birthdays, I'm like the youngest in the class. All the time.
Okay.
Out at college, I was 17.
Got
I
you.
turned 18. After I had already started my freshman year, so I'm out here in preseason with grown men, 17 years old. There's 22-year-olds out here.
Yeah.
Like, and I tell you, man, the first time someone laid some wood on me, the first time I ran into a screen was when I realized I was no longer playing high school basketball. Because I was little too. Like I told you, man, I was probably 165, 170.
Yeah.
And I'm out there with dudes just 6'8", 6'9", 240, just muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the game was faster. The guys were smarter. They were bigger. They were faster. They were stronger. They were skilled. It was a huge leap. And it was a huge adjustment for me, man. Like my freshman year, like I had to change my whole approach because in high school, I was more of a set shooter.
Okay.
Because you had more time. You had more time to get your shot off in a high school game. So you could sit there, you could be a set shooter and be successful at the high school level. But in college, you can't be no set shooter. You're not getting your shot off in college if you're just shooting set jumpers. Like you have to be able to get that shot off and get it off quick. You have to be a jump shooter.
Yeah.
So that was a huge adjustment for me. I'm getting the ball and I'm used to being able to lace it up a little bit, get my feet right and get that boy up there. But I'm catching the ball and Cass is on me.
Yeah. Like
right
that.
away. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And so my offense suffered. My offense really suffered my freshman year. And so I just really had to really just think like, how can I differentiate myself, man? How can I get myself on this court, man? Because what I'm bringing on the offensive end of the court is not going to get me time right now until I adjust to this. And that's when I just really started just diving in and just being just tenacious on the defensive end of the court. And you know how they say defense is all effort. You hear people say it all the time, but this speaks to that because I sat there and said it to myself and put my mind to it and did it. It was all mental. It was just effort. And I literally, I turned this into a defensive stopper. It got to a point where I wasn't starting games, but I was ending them.
Yeah.
They would sick me on them guards, and I would just hound them. I'm not starting. I'm getting time too, but I'm only, I'm getting minutes off the bench, so I'm not playing like 30, 35 minutes. I'm getting 20, 25, so I'm fresh too.
Yeah.
That freshman year, I just devoted myself to just being a defensive menace. And
Yeah.
it worked for me, man. I was very, very good at it. I was extremely successful at being disruptive to the opposing team's guards, and it worked. It worked. And as I got the time and got used to the pace and the speed and the strength,
Your game opened up.
everything opened up. I started
Yeah.
knocking down shots.
Yeah.
I started going to I just got comfortable. And then every year I got better. Every year I got better. My sophomore year, I was better than my freshman year. But I would say the biggest leap I made was from my sophomore year to my junior year.
Okay.
I made a significant leap from my sophomore to my junior year, and I kind of devote that to devoting myself more in the weight room. Like I've mentioned a couple times, I was a small guy, but I got with a strength coach in the off season and kept working with him. He was North Park University's football team strength coach.
Okay.
I asked him to get with me in the weight room, get my weight up, get me stronger, and he did it, man. He put about 10, 15 pounds of muscle on me. He got me up around 180, a little over 180. And my weight was fluctuating between 180, 185. After being 165, 170, that's a significant, increase in size.
Facts.
And I got
especially in hooping.
Yeah.
Especially in hooping.
And in my junior year, I think it's the best year I had at North Park. My junior year, I got busy that year, man. I had a great season. I averaged, I think, 15, 16 a night, which in college that's a lot of points to average.
That is a lot.
You're only playing 40 minutes. And I was still doing my defensive thing. I never stopped that. It never stopped that. I got better as a defender every year too.
That became a part of your game.
That just became part of me after my freshman year. But yeah, that junior year was definitely the best year I had at North Park. We had a great team that year. But yeah, I would definitely say, just that's a huge leap from high school to college. And you don't realize it until you get out there in between them four lines, man, with those big boys out there. And you're like, okay, I've arrived.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Jay. When you got to college and the reality kind of hit, what I'm used to doing is not going to give you player time. I have to kind of transition my game a little bit more. You know what I mean? You have to become a defensive player. Did that kind of ever waver your confidence a little bit? Like, man, I got to change my game up just to get on the court. Did that ever play in your mind? You know what I mean? Coming from being a scorer and being the man to being, you got to do something that you're not comfortable with or that you're not used to. Did that ever waver your confidence a little bit?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. You ask anybody that knows me, I'm not deficient of confidence in any way.
Okay.
That never runs out, man. And man, it wasn't anything. It wasn't, and I understood it. It wasn't anything personal. I wasn't getting it done on the offensive end. I would have sat me. I wouldn't have wanted me shooting balls either.
Yeah.
It was. It is what it is. It wasn't. I didn't feel like it was a slight or a knock on me. The production wasn't there. Yeah. So I understood, why coach was telling me, hey, that's a bad shot. That's a bad shot. Because I'm out there missing, but how shooters are. Next one going in, bro.
Yeah. I'm gonna get high.
Right.
High. Yeah.
But as a freshman, I can't have that same attitude, on the college team when I'm playing with dudes that can shoot that thing and shooting at a high percentage. I need to be playing defense and getting those guys the ball until I get going. So I didn't see it as a slight. It didn't hurt my confidence. I understood it. I knew the reasoning behind it. So yeah, I wasn't. I understood it. I was fine with it, and I knew my time would come. I knew eventually my time would come. I was a freshman, and sure enough, every year things got better for me. Stuff started opening up. The game every year the game slowed down a little bit for me. And any hooper will tell you once the game starts slowing down, that's when it's easy. That's when it's easy. That's when whoever's standing across from you is in for a long night.
Yeah. And to attest to that, you're top 10 in threes made at North Park University. So the game really opened up for you. You really locked in and was like, okay, cool. This is what I have to do to get on the court. Now that the game is starting to open up for me, the rim started to look a little bigger for you. You know what I mean?
It did, man. And so to speak on that a little bit. So I'm third all time, and I've
Okay.
always like, man, like,
Okay.
what would but that's off 2 solid years of shooting the ball. I'm like, well, man, I could be on the top of this list if I didn't have 2 years struggling.
Well, my bad. Let me correct myself. He's third all time, not top 10. That 10-3 is a big jump. So my bad. Top 3 all time. Okay. Let me give you your credit. Okay.
You good, man.
But for you, when you said you had to adjust to the game, to the college game, how long did it take you, time wise to really get acclimated to it? Because freshman years, a lot of freshmen really red shirt, or they're, oh, I'm going to transfer, then they have to sit a year. For you, did that ever jump into your mind like, man, this some bull? Or did you really lock in and was like, okay, cool, let me just adjust my game, let me learn what I have to do, and then we'll go from there?
It took me about half of my freshman year.
Okay.
It took me about half of my freshman year. So, at North Park, and probably the same with most schools. I mean, we would play all of our non-conference games first.
Okay.
And then the second half of the season was all conference games.
Okay.
And I would say after I got through them first 10, 11 non-conference games, it was actually perfect because the CCIW is, arguably the best Division III conference in the country. So it kind of worked out good that I was able to get them not playing them non-conference games against lesser competition to get my feet wet
and for the games that really matter.
Because by the time we started playing conference games, I was a shutdown guard by then.
Yeah.
So and I was starting to make shots. Yeah. So I was a better player by the time the conference game started. So it worked out great for me and North Park.
Okay.
Yeah. My very, very, very first conference game I played, I had like 15, 16 points. I had in my freshman year. Yeah, it was against Wheaton College, man. We got blown out, man. But I had a good night.
Got your rep.
I got my and it gave my coaches confidence too. Okay, his game's starting to open up. He's doing this against the conference teams. We feel like we can trust this guy.
Okay. So then you play your 4 years at the North Park. What was your thought process after the North Park? Were you thinking, did you know you wanted to keep hooping? What was your mindset coming after leaving North Park? Okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, man. To be honest with you, man, I kind of, as you get older, you become more in tune with reality. Okay. You kind of, if you're a real person, you have self-awareness, you kind of know, you're able to look at yourself in the mirror and know where you stand amongst your peers.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So by the time I got done with college, obviously, when I was a youngster, it was NBA.
Yeah.
But it's like the longer you play and the more guys you play against and the more there's a lot of dogs out here.
Yeah.
Those aspirations kind of minimize a little bit. So, I'll be honest with you, man. NBA wasn't even in my head anymore at that point. Okay. But I did feel like I could play professionally overseas. I felt that my game was solid enough that I could go over there and make some noise. And I actually did. I went to a camp out in Utah, out in Salt Lake. I got invited to this camp called the Utah Showcase Camp out in Utah. It was about 225 guys from all over the country. A mixture of everything: D1, D2, D3. It was mostly D1 guys, though. There was only probably 4 or 5 D3 guys at the whole thing. So that made me feel good. That I was one of the few that they felt could come out and run up and down with these guys. So yeah, we were out in Salt Lake. And so the European scouts flew out to Salt Lake to watch us play. And, they're basically, after the games, they were there scouting, talking to guys, politicking, networking. seeing what's what, seeing if they had an interest level in anybody that was out there to potentially, make them offers and things like that. And I played well, man. I played extremely well. My dad was with me. He came out with me to support me. And something we didn't really get into is that, I've kind of always had a chip, man, because going to Aurora Christian, it was always a but. Whenever anyone would bring up my name in terms of me being a solid basketball player, be like, but he's at Aurora Christian. He's playing over there at single A private school, and that's been with me my whole life. Playing at Aurora Christian, playing at Aurora Christian in high school, it was there. Playing D3 at North Park, it was there. We bring my name up, but it was D3. It was always an asterisk whenever my name would ever be. Not with my people that really know me and know what I bring to the table. Like my close friends and family know how I get down, but like the general public, looking from the outside, it was always but he was at North Park D3, but he was at Aurora Christian single A. So when I got out here with these D1, D2 guys, I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance to show I belong with these dudes. This is my chance to show single A, D3, don't matter. You can play with these guys. And I balled, man. I had a great camp. Didn't get any offers. It seemed like a lot of the scouts there seemed to be there looking mostly at the bigs. Not a lot of the guards got a lot of attention. They were really, really latched onto them bigs there. There was a few guards that got some looks. There were some solid guards there. But man, that plane trip home, I felt good, man. I felt great. I felt validated. Yeah. I felt like, all these years of people saying, but this, but that, asterisk here, asterisk there. Yeah. I had my chance to get on this court with all these dudes that supposedly was better than me all these years, and could none of them do nothing with me, man.
Were you kind of at peace with it when you was like on that plane ride back home? Like, okay, cool. I felt I earned my respect. I may not have got any calls, but I felt I earned my respect. And you didn't get any calls. Were you at peace with that moment when you were like, okay, well, this is where the ball stops for me? Were you at peace with that moment, or did you did it bother you for a while after, realizing like, okay, this is the end of ball for me?
Man, it was a little of both, man.
Okay.
It was a little ball. It was a little of both. What made me at peace was I knew what I went out there and did.
Yeah.
I knew what I went out there and did. I didn't need a scout to tell me I played well. The numbers spoke for themselves. They was keeping stats and everything. They had the stats, because all we was basically doing was just playing. They randomly put you on teams.
Like pickup.
We just playing pickup, and they just there seeing what's what.
Okay.
And they would keep all the stats on the wall: points, rebounds, 3 points, everything. Any stat you can think of, they would keep track them on the wall. You could go and look after all the games was played, and man, I was right there, right there in respectable rankings, man, with everything. Points, I was doing everything on that court. I was doing that in North Park.
Gotcha.
I think I put up about 16, 17 a game. I was knocking my threes down about a 45% clip. Knocking my free throws down, defending well. One dude ate me up. I'm gonna be honest. I got ate up by one guy. One of the guards I was actually getting spoke to.
Okay.
So if someone go eat me up, like I can live.
Okay.
But no. So in terms of being at peace, I was at peace mentally with knowing I belonged. Gotcha. And at the end of the day, I didn't need a scout. I didn't need another coach. I didn't need another player. I didn't need anybody to tell me that. Yeah. Once the ball rolled out, I was one of the top guys on the court every game, and I was cool. And that's all I needed, really.
Yeah.
Was I pissed that performing like that wasn't enough to take me to the next level and play as a professional? Yes. But it is what it is. It didn't work out. But at the end of the day, like I said, it couldn't take anything. The numbers spoke for themselves,
Yeah.
so I was at peace with that.
Okay. Okay. For you, what has been that moment in your career, hooping wise, where you kind of hit a mountain and you kind of had to overcome that adversity that you've been through? I know you spoke about always being the underdog and that butt, behind your name always. But what has been the moment where you kind of was like, all right, man, like I got to get through this, that made you who you are today?
Man, that's tough. You mean just in hoops or just in life in general?
Life in general, it could be hooping, whatever. Just a adversity that you overcome that kind of, is a part of your story.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Yeah.
Well, I hate to almost give an answer twice, but it was definitely that moment my freshman year where,
Yeah. Okay.
I realized I'm gonna have to change my approach if I'm gonna get out on this court. Because, like I said, like all the way from grade school through high school,
No,
I
that's
was
tough. Yeah.
that's what I was known for, putting the ball in the basket, man.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
not
see it
defense,
every day in the
not
NBA.
defense. Like Jason
Yeah.
could put that ball in the basket, man. That's
Yeah.
what it was for from the
Yeah.
time I was picked up a ball all the way through my senior year of high school, and then to get to college, and all of a sudden I'm not effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to come to terms with that in my head. Like, man, like, do I want to keep trying to pound this square peg into this round hole and keep throwing this bricks up?
Yeah.
Or do I want to try to make an adjustment to my game and my approach and try to be more effective elsewhere? So that was a
Facts.
tough decision for me. That was especially for someone as confident in themselves as I am, just to come to the conclusion that that freshman year of college, I didn't have it,
Yeah.
on the offensive end of the court.
Yeah.
Um, and admitting it, is the first step. You can't correct it until you admit it. And
Yeah.
so that would be it, man. For me, that was a huge mountain for me, man. It was something I never had to deal with. I never had anybody tell me I'm not effective offensively
Mm.
in my entire life.
Yeah. And we see it every day, Jay. Like just dudes in the NBA, they're great in college. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They may be a high draft pick, whichever. But then you get to the NBA and what you're known for doing and contributing to certain teams, you may not be there for that team. You know what I mean? And some guys that's kind of hard to adjust and adapt to. You know what I mean? And some guys just don't last.
absolutely.
So that's definitely a tough thing mentally. And a confidence killer for certain people. To be able to realize that and to be able to admit it. That I'm just not effective. So
Absolutely.
much respect to that. If you could give yourself advice, if you could talk to your 16-year-old self right now, Jay, knowing what you know now and the life that you lived, what would be some advice that you would give to your 16-year-old self right now?
I mean, it's easy for me to say this now because my playing days are behind me, but it's have a plan B. You got to have a plan B. You got to think about life after basketball, man.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid and you have aspirations of going D1 and playing in the NBA or overseas and all this, you don't really want to hear all that. And I feel like some of these kids probably, if they had that mindset, they would almost be saying, "I'm assuming I'm not going to make it," by thinking of that. But I'm here to tell you right now, that's not the case. You can dive 110%
Yeah.
into your craft and still have a plan B, have a backup plan, because basketball is not always going to be there for you. Even if you go to the NBA, you can't play. You're not going to play forever. So you need to
Yeah.
have a plan B regardless if you go to the NBA or not.
Yeah.
You got to think about life after basketball, man, because that was a struggle for me. For 15, 20 years of my life, I woke up every morning with one thing on my mind: being the best basketball player I could be, working harder than everybody else there is. No one's going to put up more shots than me today. No one's going to be on the court longer than me today. I had a one-track mind. I didn't think about nothing else. And I wish I would have, man, because I got to tell you, man, after college, my life was very, very reactive instead of proactive because I didn't have a plan. I was just kind of taking advantage of things that were in front of me instead of pursuing something. Um, and that'd probably be my biggest regret I had, was not thinking more about life outside of basketball. That would definitely be the thing I would tell these kids today is you're not going to play forever, no matter how far you go. You can't play till you're in the grave. So
Yeah.
you better think about life after basketball, what you want to do with yourself, what other things you want to do with your life to be successful and make a positive impact on the community.
Love it. Love it. But the game of basketball itself, Jay, just the whole how you prepare, how you interact with people. What has the game of basketball taught you that carry into life?
Man, basketball's taught me so much. That's a hard question, man. That's hard to just really give a few things, man. Like, because just sports in general, not just basketball. There's so many connections between sports and basketball and to life itself.
Yeah.
It teaches you, how to achieve a goal, with other people, how to be a team player, how to be a leader, it teaches you how to deal with adversity, all things you're going to encounter in life, you encounter playing basketball. So I always feel like athletes, kind of get a head start on that because they're dealing with all that stuff, whether they realize it or not. They're dealing with a lot of stuff that's going to be put in front of them in the real world while they're engaged in that sport.
Thanks.
Competing, dealing with adversity, being a leader, achieving something together, teamwork, overcoming obstacles, like all the stuff you're dealing with on the basketball court, you're going to encounter in life. And having already dealt with it on the sports field, on the playing field, I feel like it gives athletes a head start,
Thanks. Thanks.
So definitely.
Okay. Love it. Love it. So Jay, this question right here, every time I ask somebody, it's always conversation afterwards, just around the town. But if I was to say, Jay, I want you to give me your top five hoopers from Aurora, who would be your five? You can make it however you want to make it. It can be, five players you play with, five players that you just, that you didn't play with, that you just seen. But I would like to hear your top five, your top five.
So, man, I was blessed, man, to come up in a time in Aurora when, I got to see some of the OGs play that,
Yeah.
You younger guys hear about, but you never got to see them. You just hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see them.
Okay.
And it was watching those guys that made me just be like, look, like I want to do that. Like,
yeah,
that's the coolest thing ever. And I say that to say this. At point guard, oh man, that's really hard. All time.
Talk to me.
I'm gonna go Bo.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Bo at the point. I'm gonna say if Bo ain't available, give me Mike Simmons.
Okay. Can't go wrong with either or. Okay.
Give me Mike Simmons. If Bo ain't around,
Okay.
mess around, just play them at the 1 and 2.
Oof.
Shooting guard. Let me get Mario Clark. Let me get at the 3. Man, that's tough. I'm gonna skip the 3 right now. I'm gonna go Thomas Wyatt at the 4.
Tough.
I'm gonna go Mark Davidson at the 5. Who's this wing? Who's this 3? I need me a do-it-all. I need me a do-it-all guy at that 3 spot. That one's tough, man. That one's real tough, but I probably have to go. Whatever. I'll put Mario Clark at the 3, and I'm going small in the backcourt with Boat Show and Simo.
Okay. Let me see. Cuz to text me. He said Julian.
Julian Harold, man. Julian Harold, boy. Yeah. Let me get Julian at the 4 if Wyatt if he ain't available. I'm gonna take Julian Harold. Julian Harold, that yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Now
cause
he's
he
another
does.
Aurora Christian guy.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you a 5 for Aurora Christian.
Talk to me. Okay, there we go.
I'm gonna give you 5 for Christian. So he's at the 4.
Okay.
Julian's at the 4. That's easy. Mark Davidson's at the 5. Point guard, I'm gonna go. Man, we had some good ones. Yeah, man. Let me walk away from that point guard for a second. I'm putting myself at the 2.
Okay.
I hate to put myself in top in it, but it is what it is.
Cause he said Jason Wright.
See, I got 3 guys in my ear right now for that point guard spot. He's one of them.
Okay.
Jason Wright, I played a year with Jay Wright. My senior year, he was a sophomore, got moved up. He was my starting point guard.
Okay.
Phenomenal player, ended up going D1, played at Eastern Illinois. So it's between him, Jabari Harrell, who I played with my senior year. I mean, my junior year, he was a senior.
Okay.
All-time leader in assists at Aurora University, conference player of the year over there. And then you got Matt Nadelhofer, who is just an absolute. He was Jason Williams. He was white chocolate before white chocolate.
Ooh-wee.
6'3", 6'4". You on the court with him, you gonna get hit dead in the face with a pass. You
gotta be ready.
You're always open when you're playing with Matt Nadelhofer. He went on to had a great career at Wheaton College, man. He's set records over there. So it's between them 3 guys at my point guard spot, and I'm having a real hard time picking it.
Okay.
But those are some great names, man. And like I said, I will put myself at the 2. I'm gonna put my boy Jeremy Henderson at the 3.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna give it to Jay Wright. I'm just gonna give it to Jay Wright at my point. So it's gonna be Jay Wright, me, Jeremy Henderson, Julian Harold, and Mark Davidson.
Okay. See, as for me, I didn't know Aurora Christian had hoopers like that. You know what I mean? So to hear you name all these people, it just shows that the history behind Aurora ball, man. We really got some hoopers, man, that we just don't know about. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of it, bro, is Aurora. You're a younger guy, so I mean, you weren't around really. Like I said, that was that kind of that 86 to 96 kind of decade. There was when they was putting out teams, man. I mean, in that 10-year period, they probably won 4 sectionals, 2 Elite Eights. They finished 4th in state once, 2nd in state once, in probably an 8-9 year period. Like, that's dominance.
Yeah.
And this is when it was just 2 classes. So
they outplayed some top teams then.
Back then, Aurora Christian wasn't in the conference. When I was in Aurora Christian, we weren't in the conference. We were independent.
Okay.
Don Davidson, who was our coach, he served as an athletic director too. So the way our schedule was, because most play, if you're in a conference, you playing once there, once at your, you're playing every one of your conference twice, once there, once at your crib, and then a handful of other games and tournaments. But our coach, he's on the phone just calling whoever wants to play, we'll be there. So we were single A, but we was probably playing 15 AA schools every year. So yeah, it was just different then, man.
Yeah. Okay. Jay, let me ask you this. You said you're a guy where you got high confidence in yourself. Who is that one matchup for you that's the most memorable for you, where you was like, all right, man, this dude, I wouldn't say get the best of you, but he was more like, okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's tighten these shoes up. Let's go. We're going at it.
So I already got one, man. All right, it pops in my head right away. Problem child. Yeah, it's cat named Antoine McDaniel, man. He played at Carthage.
Okay.
He's a kid out of Schaumburg. And like I said, I was one of the better defensive players in the CCIW all 4 of my years there. But he was the one guy I could not speed up. I could not speed him up. I could not make him uncomfortable. He was just so smooth. He dictated pace. You didn't dictate his pace. And he just always looked like he was going in slow motion, man. He was just excellent.
That's frustrating. That's frustrating to guard, man.
Yeah, like if I saw him today, I'd want to play it. I'd want to play one-on-one. Like I just never figured that dude out, man. He's just a super smooth guard. Just made the game look really, really easy. He played at Carthage. I believe he was a year behind me. So I played him. I had to mess with him for 3 years, man. Twice a year.
It's frustrating. And that kind of going to my next question too, is in your prime, who would be your 1v1? So you gotta match up with him again, huh? For that 1v1 in your prime.
I would want him, but just for the sake of giving you a different answer.
Okay.
I would probably want to play against Pippen. I would probably want to play against Pippen because I would want to see what life's like being guarded by the best perimeter defender to ever play basketball.
No, that's facts. Facts.
If I can get a bucket on him, I can get one on anybody.
On anybody. Facts. So, okay.
That would be who I would want to match up with to see what I can get off on him.
Okay. Jay, if you could listen to 3 albums for the rest of your life, what 3 albums would it be?
It would probably be Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
That third one. Oh, I'm gonna go Big Pun, Capital Punishment.
Fire. If you could have 5 dinner guests, dead or alive, anybody, just sit at the table and just chop it up with, who would be your 5 that you would have and why?
Muhammad Ali, definitely, number 1. I would want Mike there. Definitely would want Mike there. I would just relish the opportunity to have a conversation with just a maniacal competitor like him. I would say, man, 3 more. MLK. Let me get MLK at that table, and let me get Malcolm too. Let's see. 4th one.
Okay, so I think you said MLK. You said Muhammad Ali.
Malcolm.
Okay, and MJ. Okay,
MJ.
So your fifth.
I got one more.
One more.
You know what, man? It's kind of an interesting fact too. My great uncle was one of the original Red Tails, man. And I would love to sit down and chat with him just about that experience, being one of the first African Americans, fighting in the World War. One of the well, I don't know if you know the story, but he's one of the Red Tails was the first African American flight squadron that fought in the World War, and my uncle was actually one of them.
Wow, no, that's crazy. That's gonna be between that 5, man. You're gonna learn a lot of game and knowledge in that 5 right there,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Jay, if I was to tell you I can get you tickets to any game in NBA history, courtside seats, I can get you any tickets. What would be the game that you would tell me you would like to be at and why?
Man, that's a good question. I would probably want to go. The flu game.
Yeah.
I need to get in Salt Lake City for that flu game. I need to see, I need to see that flu game because that's just a man right there. Like, it's like when he was in them 4 lines, he was all right.
He was
It's like he
good.
didn't realize he was half dead till he got to the sidelines. It's like just walking out on that wood just was like a battery in his back.
Yeah.
That's just what the game did for him. Like, that would have to be it, man. It was that
I'm
flu
not
game.
mad at that one. Yeah. Like I said, he balled. You didn't even think nothing was wrong with him. But the timeout, he looking like he about to,
Right.
And that going to my next one. Jay, I need your top 5 NBA players of all time.
So let me get the Dream at the 5, TD at the 4, LeBron at the 3, Mike at the 2, and Magic at the 1.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. Jay, if you could recommend somebody to have on my platform that kind of, just that you feel deserving of their flowers, who would you recommend on the show?
And that's really hard, man, because it's an endless list of, when you know how rich basketball is in the city of Aurora. I would say, in terms of like, I can give it to you. I'll give it to you by school. So if you had anybody else on from Aurora Christian, I would definitely recommend my guy Jeremy Henderson. One of my homeboys, one of my best friends, grew up together. Julian Harrell, who was on my top 5. He was in my starting 4. I would say West Aurora. If you haven't had a conversation with Mario Clark yet,
I talked to him. Yeah.
Andre Newsom. That's who you need to get on here, man.
Okay.
Like, me and Andre used to go at it when we was kids, man. Because I grew up on the west side of Aurora, Illinois and Gillette, dead inside of Gillette, right next to Main Street Park.
Okay.
Dre lived over there, not too far from me, and Dre would come over almost every day, and we'd be in my driveway for hours, just going at it. Like, that's my brother, man. Like, we grew up together, and I to this day, like, people always kind of say I play bigger than my size.
Yeah.
It's because I grew up playing against that long ass jumpy athletic dude every single day. I definitely attribute that me playing bigger than 6'2" to, man, that dude 2 inches taller than me and can fly.
Yeah.
So you talk about tough times getting a shot off, like. But definitely Andre Newsom. And East Aurora, Thomas Wyatt. Definitely, if you haven't had him on, Tyrone Savage. But yeah, those are definitely some names of some guys that it'd be great to have on here.
Okay, for sure. Noted, But Jay, man, I just want to say I appreciate you taking time, out of your day just to, come onto my platform and just, spread the knowledge and game that you have. Just telling your story, in hopes that it may help, the young generation coming up that may have the similar story that you had, So I just want to give you your flowers for what you contributed to the game of basketball. And just a rural culture basketball, So I just want to give you your flowers, say, we thank you, we appreciate you for the memories that you gave, and we're grateful and thankful for you, So, thank you again for coming on my platform tonight.
No, man, I appreciate it. It's an honor. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you very much.
No, for sure, man. Hey, man, you have a good one, bro. I appreciate you again, bro. We'll stay in tune.
Absolutely,
All
man.
right.
Have a good night.
All right, you too, bro.